What's up, all my goblins, goblins, and everybody in between? How y'all doing? It's another day, another video. Let's just hit the ground running and see what's going on.
What is the meaning behind the phrase, not all men, but always a man?
Not always a man, but usually a guy. So when something dangerous happens, it's not always a guy, but usually it's a man.
While not all men are probably doing awful things, it's enough men that we all have to be cautious of men generally.
Most of the things that we're scared of are male related.
I mean, and I understand that fully. I mean, I get it, 100% get it. If I had an issue, my issue would be is don't treat everyone like they're guilty. Like it's okay to be, you can be cautious of somebody, but don't treat them like they've already done something wrong.
Not all man, but always a man means men are always behind all evil. It can be, oh my God, I'm gonna beat your ass. Anyways, it's always a man behind all violence, all evil. Every type of system that is set up, we can argue politically it's set up. Who sets up the politics? Men. And then why is it failing? Because men set it up.
I mean, men are not setting up all the politics. Like all this stuff is voted on. So if you're going in there, and you blind voting, that's on you. But all this stuff, like the laws, some of the policies and stuff that's in place outside of like presidential orders, you vote on it. That's why if you pay attention to what's on the ballot, you vote on what else they like prop something or whatever the case may be. Is they want you to vote for these things. It is your responsibility as a voter to know what you're voting for and know who you're voting for. So if there's a policy in place that you don't like, 9 times out of 10 you voted for it because you weren't paying attention. And it might be something that was hidden inside something you agree with. So it's like, hey, y'all get a free $100 every month, but then your taxes are gonna double. And they might hide that double taxes part lower or kind of in between all the other stuff. So you gotta actually read this stuff to find that. But if there's something in place that you don't like, you likely voted for without paying attention.
We need to basically take down the patriarchy, set up a matriarchy, because what is it that creates life? Women. So why is it that men are the ones creating the system that we need to be?
Women don't create life, women carry life. Men create life. That's why the sperm cell, we make those throughout our lifetime. We could do that throughout our lifetime. Up to the point we die, we are constantly creating sperm cells. Women carry life and bring it out into the world, but men create life.
Supposedly following. And then that's why there's a lot of poverty. Why are there still third world countries where people can't eat, but we got people here spending millions on the fucking high stake tables? That's crazy. Who set that system up? Men.
When people say not all men, but always a man, what do you think that communicates to men who've never harmed anyone?
They're grouped into a thing, but every single person's grouped into a category, whether we like it or not.
Probably hurts their feelings because they're like, what do you mean? Like they love women, but they've never done anything and they're still getting accused of something.
I think it means they need to be mindful and cognizant that even though maybe they haven't done something, enough men have that women have a very reasonable, caution and hesitance with men generally because the statistics really are against us in that way.
How do we acknowledge that most violent crimes are committed by men without implying collective guilt?
By looking at statistics.
If 80% of violent crimes are committed by men, does that mean that 80% of men are violent?
No.
So then why do women assume that most men are violent?
This dude be killing it with the questions. I had to wait for him to finish because it's like I wanted to say something, but it's like I gotta wait and see what he's gonna say because it could change the answer. And that 3-piece combo of questions was ridiculous.
Because of stereotypes that are put out on the internet and because of what is seen.
I mean, for me personally, I think most women have been affected by a man in their life. And so I think after a threat happens, it just poses every man as a threat. Like
Yeah, but that's also not fair because if I took that and flipped, it's like I know women that have had abortions, or I know one. Oh man, I found out like later on in life. I knew her when we were kids, and then I found out later in life she deleted her kids, and in a really gruesome fashion. Um, like it was crazy. So because I knew that person that did this, should I treat every woman with the same capacity that she had? No, it wouldn't be fair to the rest of those women. Like everyone has the capacity to do something bad. Doesn't mean everybody will do something bad. I mean, all you pretty much need is 2 hands and 2 feet for the most part. Sometimes you don't need all those. You got one on one. You might hop over there and slap somebody, but still, it's just saying. It's you can't treat everybody as guilty because a few are guilty. And the crazy part with that 80 percentile, a lot of those can end up being repeat offenders. So you take the same person and you might count them 3 or 4 times, but that percentile is going to keep going up. So if you have 10 men and they say 80% of crime, the way it's treated is all of them could be potentially guilty of that crime. But out of those 10 men, it might only be one of them that's doing 60% of it. For all you know, they might have been a repeat offender, gone in and out multiple times, and just keep getting away with it, or keep getting out instead of being locked up for life. And it makes the statistic look a lot worse.
Just want to protect yourself inherently as a human.
Do you see a difference between pointing out statistical trends and making broad statements about an entire group?
I think it's important to start with the statistics, or to definitely focus more on the math and what's provable rather than a general statement. But since we do kind of speak in general statements, it's just important to have the nuance and clarify when we're making those statements too.
If we use that same kind of phrasing about race or another identity group, would it still feel acceptable?
If we use that, oh, no, it would not be acceptable, which is kind of crazy to say, but it wouldn't.
So why is it okay for women to be sexist but not racist?
Like I said, dude be killing it with these questions.
Honestly, I don't agree with women being sexist because that's the same reason of saying why can women be gay but men can't be gay.
I think that poses just a different question.
What? Women can be gay, but men can't be gay. What you talking about? Is that something new I ain't found out about yet? Like that? Somebody explain that to me. I don't get that.
Like any race of man to me could pose a threat. It doesn't matter what kind of race.
I don't agree with that women should be sexist or racist.
But I think it's also still a bit different when we're talking about other marginalized groups that have, actually been through some pretty, historically different things than men committing violent crimes, I would say. But yeah, there's some different, things going on with those two things.
Why is it okay for women to be sexist but not racist?
I think there's a whole other sub conversation on racism that needs to be addressed with that, but I don't really know if sexism applies the same way as it does with women as it does with men being sexist.
Yeah, no, that's a cop out. That is 100% a cop out because just based on the questions you asked, based on how you answered, you're saying it's okay for women to be sexist, but not racist. You're saying it's okay, but now you're trying to cop out. And I just realized how I paused. She looked like she got a lazy eye, but she's saying it's okay for them to be sexist. It's okay to be sexist against men, but if you take the same questions and flip the context into race, it's not okay to be racist. And she's trying to find a way to make it okay for her to be that way and think that way, even though the line of questions just showed that it wasn't.
Sexist towards women.
Why is society more concerned with men being feminized than with men being demonized?
Because if there was more masculine men, we probably wouldn't be so scared sometimes.
They do say that if a man is raised by just a woman, he's more likely to become gay, which I feel like is wrong. But if you are raised around women and no male figures in your life, it will have an effect on you.
And I mentioned it in a prior video that there's a guy I still honestly, if he comes out as gay, I wouldn't be surprised. But again, he's to my knowledge, he's done nothing but marry. He's married. He's dated women. He is married to a woman. But he acts very, very, very effeminate. Just his hand motions when he's speaking, the way he inflects as far as speaking, very effeminate. But again, I've known nothing but him dating women, and I believe, again, I ain't gonna say believe, he is married to a woman. So they ain't likely to be gay, but you're likely to have more effeminate tendencies, is what I would say. You're also less likely to be able to regulate your emotion as far as men in anger. I ain't saying men are emotionless, but if they're going to display an emotion, a lot of times it's going to come out as anger. And I would say, as a man that is raised by a woman, because women are not looked at as to regulate anger or emotions in the same way a man is. A man raised by nothing but women, or raised around women, is a lot more, it's likely to be a lot more emotional than a man raised by another man. You learn to regulate those things, and in a lot of cases stay calm. And I'm not saying that's the whole case with every single situation. There are always exceptions to the rule. But when you look at men being raised by single mothers, more, if anything, the statistics say they're more likely to have a record or have been locked up or to be locked up. They went and looked at a lot of these people that are locked up, and they were raised by single mothers. The ones raised by single men are more likely to be successful. Now, don't come at me. That's just statistics.
I feel like men are more feminized than they are demonized nowadays. I don't feel like a lot of men are demonized. I think more so it's women finally being able to tell the truth.
Wouldn't saying that not all men, but always a man, be demonizing men?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's stating the truth. I mean, most of the times when it is, a violent crime, it is a man.
Where do male victims of violence, abuse, or sexual assault fit into this conversation?
There are male victims. The percentage is low, but it does happen. And again, people just tend to acknowledge because females are viewed as smaller and weaker, and
The percentile is low, and not as low as you think. Let me say it that way, because a lot of guys don't report. A lot of guys won't say anything because they'll get picked on. That's about the best way I can put it. They will be picked on. Especially if the person that did the assault was a woman. Because, oh, you didn't like it, you must be gay. Oh, that's not assault because you enjoyed it. That ain't the case. A lot of, even, and look at it like this, even with young boys and some of these teachers, the boy is normally looked at like some kind of a hero if he's sleeping with an older woman. So you got a 15-year-old boy sleeping with this 25, 30-year-old woman. It's wrong. One way or the other is wrong. She took advantage of him, but they'll look at, because he bagged an older woman. He the Mac. He's a champion. You glorify him, but flip the script and it's wrong. He took advantage of her. One way or another, it's still like, as far as the man being an older person, he was a predator and he took advantage of her. But the woman being an older person is, it's not a big a deal. It's become more of a big deal. You have been seeing more and more of these teachers being arrested for sleeping with multiple students, which I'm glad to see, because they need to be out of there anyway, one way or the other. I don't care if they're a man or woman. Lock them up and get them out of there. But it's not as a big deal when it's a woman teacher and a male student versus a man and a female student.
and just less capable.
What role do factors like upbringing, environment, or mental health play compared to gender alone?
I think it's like 75%.
Can you elaborate? What do you mean by that?
I think that like your mental health and your upbringing is like 75% of like if you become a psychopath or a, like perpetrator.
Someone's like inner experiences, like the things that made them who they are, their trauma and everything, that has much more to do with how they respond to things than their gender, I would say.
I think it plays a huge role. I mean, if a woman and a man were both brought up the same way, let's say they were both abused or they were both, taught that violence is the answer, then they're both going to commit violence. I don't feel like it's a gender thing. I do feel like it is, an uprising thing. And unfortunately, men are raised different than women are raised, and sometimes men are raised more violently.
But like I just said, a lot more men who are violent tend to be raised by single mothers. And because women are not held to the same standard as emotional regulation like men are, there tend to be more violent outbursts. And because most of the time, when there's an outburst of emotion from a man, it is going to be in an angry fashion. So, when they're not taught to regulate that anger, regulate those emotions to deal with them in a healthy adult manner, they explode because that's what they saw their moms and sisters do. Is they didn't have to regulate those emotions. They were screaming in the house, they were yelling, whatever the case, stuff being thrown. They tend to mimic the behavior because, as far as they saw, that is the regular behavior. So, if you want your boys, as far as if you have sons, to learn to behave in a more civil fashion, guess what? Let their uncles deal with them. Let them uncles put them in their place. And that's if they got good uncles, if the dad ain't there. If the dad is not around, you got other men in your life that could go and set them straight. And it's your responsibility as the parent to go and do that. Because there are things as a mom you're not going to know how to deal with a boy. I've seen it firsthand where I've seen these young boys. I met them at like, what, 11 or 12 before they hit puberty. And I said that if they not learn, if she don't put them in their place, they gonna test her when she get older. And they did that exact thing. I've known them for at least 10 years at this point. And during that come up, he was cursing at his mom. He was jumping at his mom. I'm like, no, just go over there. Let me go over there and deck him one good time. That's all it's gonna take. Is he gonna get punched in the jaw one good time? And that's all it's gonna take. And if he tried again, beat the bricks out of him. And then some people gonna say, "Oh, that's abuse." No, that's setting that's showing the standard. You test me if you want to. I don't care how big you think you get. I'm stronger than you. You get froggy and you decide to jump, you're gonna get knocked right back down. And some of these boys need to learn that lesson early on because it's gonna teach them, one, don't mess with everybody like that, just like you would anybody else. You know instinctively not to bother certain people because they're bigger than you, they're stronger than you, they look like more of a threat than you do. But when you don't look like a threat, they gonna test you. And what you gotta do is show, don't test me. I'm not the one to try. If you don't set that standard up early, they're gonna test you later on and they end up becoming these violent fellas later.
Men should learn how to kill people and be able not to do it when it's not required.
Is it possible that focusing too heavily on men as perpetrators overlooks opportunities to support men before problems escalate?
Absolutely. I think that a lot of what I see on social media is blaming of men right away.
Like the social programs that support like children in general like are like underfunded, and I think that's low-key like what like perpetrates people to become psychopaths.
We mentioned that it was a man and that what they did was horrible. You know, you reach out and you try to help them. I think a lot of times they don't want the help, but I feel like giving them the opportunity to get help and to fix the way that they are is a really good outlet for them.
Except it's chastised. You emasculate them. You make them feel like less of a man for going and seeking help and getting help. It's easy to say that now. You're standing here, you're saying that you're gonna be on the internet, you're gonna look good, but they're emasculated, so they don't want to go and get help because it's seen as weakness. So saying it now versus what you do in truth are two different things. And most men know that you don't talk about your insecurities with women because they don't keep it to themselves. They go and they talk to other women, they spread it around, and now everybody knows that deep emotion that you tried to share with somebody close to you. They all do it. Like even on the simpler terms, I told my sister I was planning on proposing and not to tell my mom or anybody else. And she told everybody. It wasn't even a surprise. It was supposed to be a surprise to my mom. It was supposed to be a surprise to like my other sister. No, she told everybody. All of them knew. Like all you had to do, I told you because you're at this place and I know you're gonna be there, but we got to get the rest of them out. And you told them. Like if I can't trust you with that, how am I supposed to trust you with anything deeper than that? If I told you don't tell them because I'm trying to surprise them, and the first thing you do is run and tell everybody, how am I supposed to trust you with a deeper thing than that? I can't. And the way I operate is I'll try with little stuff. And if you can't do it with the little stuff, I know you can't do it with the big stuff. I know you can't. So I'm not even going to bother with it.
Focusing on men as perpetrators is a byproduct of this larger thing that's been going on. So it's a consequence of like the statistics, I guess, and the probability of women getting hurt.
Does a woman's fear of men automatically mean she's in danger?
No,
So why do so many women walk around in this state of perpetual fear?
because men occupy extremes.
I mean, being a female, you're walking down the street, you automatically grab your purse tighter when it's a man walking past you versus a female.
I don't fear men, so I can't answer that.
Why do you think it's often framed that way?
I think that there are women that are not strong and independent sometimes, and they put the pressure on the men and then blame the men for when things, I think everybody's equal.
Are men more likely to be protectors or predators?
I feel like they're born to be protectors, but sometimes their environment makes them be predators.
She didn't even answer the question. He said, "Are they more likely?" You say they're born to be protectors, but it become predators. That's not answering the question. The question was, are they more likely to be protectors versus predators? In my opinion, protectors. More men are more apt to do the right thing than not. I said it in a previous video where I don't expect help if my tire bursts. I expect me, and I expect most other men to know how to change a tire. I don't expect help. Women will expect help. They expect help in every regard, because you'll see so many clips on social media where they're carrying something heavy and it's like, oh, all these men, ain't nobody trying to help me. They expect to help, and I personally don't like that. Don't expect that from me, because I don't know you. And with the way everything is, the way social media is, I ain't trying to be on the internet talking about I was stalking her, I was being creepy because I saw her carry something heavy and I want to help her. I'm not doing it. I'm not taking that gamble. I'm not taking that risk, because once you're on the internet and they tie that label to you, even though if you can prove it's not true, that's following you for the rest of your days.
Aren't most cops and soldiers men?
I don't know that current statistic because I know a lot of female cops and military.
Aren't most cops and soldiers men?
Yeah, a lot are. I know some females.
So wouldn't men be more likely to be protectors?
There is a higher percentage, yes, I do agree.
So why is the phrase "not all men, but always a man" often used to portray men as predators, but rarely used to acknowledge men as protectors?
I guess because a higher percentage are put in those roles, but I'm not sure why women are not filling those roles.
Because women are a-holes. And women nowadays, because we got our rights, we think that we don't need men. But that's not the truth.
But the question is, do you want men?
Yes, I do. I feel like life is so much easier with the man. Because at the end of the day, a woman, when she's doing everything by herself, she's going to realize that she wish she had help.
If men are blamed for building society, why aren't they ever credited for anything good in society?
Like what? Give me an example. What's good that they've done?
Lady, aren't you like out in Vegas? You out partying in Vegas. Like, come on. You out there having a good time, and you probably gonna continue having a good time after this interview. Like, everything that you going out to do now, it was built by men. The infrastructure is being maintained by men. The fact that you could go and call on your cell phone, or surf the internet, all the infrastructure is being maintained by men. It just, you living your life is vastly because there are men in these situations and in these positions that are working, in some cases overnight, 24/7. Some of this stuff is being manned by men in the majority. I'm not saying women don't do it, but for the majority, when it comes to maintenance and infrastructure and upkeep, a lot of that is done by men.
I mean, running water, electricity.
Running water, God created that. The universe, the world,
Plumbing,
water.
indoor plumbing.
Oh my God. Okay, so she's purposely being difficult. That's all it is. She wants to be difficult. Plumbing. He's talking about running water, and she was like, God created water. He didn't say created water. He said the stuff that you can enjoy right now as far as men. So when he brings up plumbing, like, oh my God, she just want to be difficult. That's all it is.
And created water?
No, indoor
Are you
plumbing.
serious?
Indoor plumbing.
Indoor plumbing?
Yeah.
Oh. You guys didn't create indoor plumbing.
How about airplanes? Men
Okay,
invented
airplanes, okay. men and women both do a lot of creations though. Like you guys do get credit. You guys get what Nobel prizes, recognition. You guys get awards. You guys get paid. So you guys do get recognition. So that doesn't even. No, you guys get recognition. Yeah.
Do you think phrases like "not all men, but always a man" help solve the problem, or can they sometimes shut down dialogue?
I think it shuts down dialogue.
Why?
I personally have seen in social media. I saw something today, and that's exactly what it was saying. Was always a man, but again, I think that it's just the higher percentage of the things that happen tend to be, but the women go unnoticed.
I think it creates more awareness of the real issue, that it really is not always a man, but it is more likely to be a man.
There's plenty of men, even like my dad, who are great men, and I love them. But I've also been hurt by other men in my life. So I think and I think it goes for them as well. Like they've been hurt by women in their life.
Right, but the whole point is you don't blame everybody. So if she hypothetically used that phrase, you are lumping your dad. If you say your dad is a good man, but then you say not all men but always a man, you're lumping them into that. And I think a lot of them miss that point. Any good man they know in their life, they're lumping them in with the rest of them. So someone who has never done you any harm, who has only wanted the best for you and only wanted to protect you, you are now lumping them in with the worst person you could think of. That's what you're automatically doing, is lumping them together. You shouldn't do it to anybody. You shouldn't do it with men, shouldn't do it with women. Neither one. Neither group should be doing it to the other one and taking the best people you know and automatically tagging them with the worst people.
So I don't think it's fair to put that dialogue on men.
Why wouldn't we have an expression "not all women, but always a woman"?
Well, because I think often, I mean, even if you look at like just cases and different and numbers, it's usually men.
Munchausen syndrome by proxy. And if you don't know what that is, and they may have changed the name, but Munchausen syndrome by proxy is when a woman hurts their child so they can get the attention. That's not something men do at all. It has never been documented. It is a actual mental disease that some women get when they hurt their child because they get the attention. So if you take that same phrasing, not all women, but some always a women, and apply it to Munchausen syndrome by proxy, it's the same thing. And they not gonna like that. They not gonna like being treated like the women who hurt their kids for attention. They will not like it. Just like we don't like it as men when we get lumped in with something that we have nothing to do with.
Why is Jack the Ripper a man? And why are most people that get Nobel Peace Prizes men? Because men occupy extremes.
How can men be framed as both the cause of and solution to all of society's problems?
Because when they were creating the society, they were masculine, and now they're more feminine.
How can men be framed as...
I'm not going to say men are more feminine. I'm going to say some men definitely are. Testosterone levels are dropping. I will definitely say some men are more feminine. I ain't going to say in general all men are more feminine. But I will say a lot of that has to do with social media and the way that a lot of these young boys come up and they're being told and shown and taught that they are inherently evil for just being men.
as both the cause of and solution to all of society's problems?
Okay, because who starts the wars? Men. Why are people going to war and dying? Men.
Did she not realize there were like queens? And I mean, think about Cleopatra. Cleopatra, you had so many guys coming after her. They were killing each other trying to get to her. And there were queens in history that have also started wars. I'm not saying that there were more. I'm saying that they are there. So when you make blanketed statements like that, who starts all the wars? Men. That's not always the case. Historically speaking, that has not been the case. It's a situational thing. So when she's using these blanketed statements, that's the kind of stuff, at least for me, that drives me insane. And I think probably a lot of other guys don't like it too.
Like, what is going on? What is the problem? Men, and you guys want to say, oh, women can never be in power. Every single war is because of men's being emotional. So why are you guys still in power? Doing all this killing, doing all this war. For example, Palestine. There's no reason we should be bombing Palestine for 2 years straight. You guys go to all these countries, extract all these resources, free Palestine, free Sudan, free Congolese, free everybody from the fucking Israelis and all the fucking men that oppress women and all the world around us.
All right, one more question. Why are men blamed for the cause of war and violent crime when men are the biggest victims of war and
How are
violent
men
crime?
the biggest victims if you guys are the reasons that the war happens? Maybe you guys shouldn't make the war happen and you guys wouldn't go to war and die. You know what
Well,
I'm
no,
saying?
I'm saying
Like,
men are drafted and sent to
and
war.
who make you guys get drafted? A man. Always a man. Your phrase. Always a man. So who's behind that? Always a man. You just proved your own point.
What would a more precise
That's got to be the dumbest lady, second dumbest lady I've seen in a video since I started making these videos. Second, definitely second. That red dress lady is probably the dumbest, but this lady, she just loud. She think because she's loud, she right.
or constructive way of talking about this issue sound like to you?
You know, I'm not sure. Social media is so big. I just think that there needs to be more in social media, in public, of the things that men do that are good. And also, not all women are good. I've met a lot of bad women, so
I'm gonna beat your ass. 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 Anyways,
At the end of the day, what kind of messaging actually brings people together to reduce harm rather than divide them?
You know, I would say if we can start saying more like everyone needs to teach their kids how to treat other people respectfully, regardless of their gender, race, anything, that would, I think, be the best thing. And then if we have to mention other statistics and things, okay, but it would be good to just state what we all really do need to do, and that's teaching everybody to do the right thing no matter what.
Yeah, that dude always got some heavy hitting questions, and they make you think. Um, Even and what she was saying, yeah, I would agree to a certain point. I still think there are certain things that one gender or the other might do better, depending on what it is situationally. But overall, yeah, it should be everybody treat everybody the same. It don't matter if it's a man or woman. You treat them based on how they are as a person versus what gender they are, what race they are, any of that other stuff. So it is. Will we ever get to that point? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. There's really no way to know. But let me know that in the comments. Um, what's your thoughts on any of this, any of these questions? Whether you agree, disagree. You know, I want to hear it. Shoot me a message, let me know. But as usual, till the next time, make sure you subscribe and all that other good stuff, all the other jazz. Deuces.